Welcome guys again. On this lesson we'll continue with our tuple. So let's just go ahead and create a very nice long tuple for ourselves. So just gonna call this car model tuple. Got one later there, sorry. So as we saw previously, our tuple is defined only with brackets. So I'm just gonna create some car models. Create the last one. Let's change the name to car brand. So that becomes my tuple. We only have 4 of them. So now we can go ahead and print this tuple for ourselves to see whether it's going to display, and as you can see it has displayed. And as I've said, the tuple shares most of its DNA with a list. So the same way we were able to access items in the list using index is the same way we're going to perform here. So you can go access car tuple index 0 and see what you get. You're going to get BMW. Car tuple index 1, there we go, you get the master. And then as you go on, you can start to see the shape of how can we access each individual item inside a tuple using indexes. And remember, indexes start at 0, so the first one will be 0. And as we said previously, let's say you are just interested in the last one and the tuple is very long, so you'll put -1 to be able to access the very last one, which will be open, right? So there's a list of more ways you can access this using index. The same way we were using indexes on list is the same way we're gonna try to access. The other one is that you can access substrings, right? So you can say I only want Mazda and Renault. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna say start accessing from 1 and stop accessing from 3, right? Because if you say 2, let's see, because the idea is that this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. So, and then this becomes 3. So you will want to say, okay, I only want Mazda and Renault. So when you execute this, you will see that the only results brought back to you would be Mazda, meaning 2 is excluded. So you need to actually say 3 for 2 to be included. There we go. You now have Mazda and what? And Renault as part of your list. So it's very important to remember that. Also, you can say I want everything from 1 up until to the end. So it will say from Mazda up until the end of the tuple. And you can also say I want everything from -1. -1 means that from the last item on the list all the way to the first item on the list, because you are not mentioning where does it actually end. So you'll get your results as listed there. Okay. Just remember, the negative simply means that you are starting from this side, from the right to the left, and the positive means that you are starting from the left to the right. Very important to notice that. Okay, let's go to how can you work with updating your tuple, right, or adding new items in your tuple. So if you want to add new item in the tuple, let's say there's a new car brand that you want to add, that means you will go and say car brand, right, and then you will use what we talked about. You will use first you have to convert the tuple to become what? A list, then work with the list conversion method in order for you to create that functionality I'm talking about. So we'll say we're gonna create a temporary list, and then this temporary list will be, you convert the whole tuple by mentioning the word list and car brand. That the car brand is the tuple. That means now you shall see different results. So let's print out before you convert. Let's print out car brand so that you see the difference between a list and a tuple. So once we get the list, I'm now going to say print this temporary list in this manner. Let me just print this temporary list as it is. Right, so it should have the same items, but then the difference is that the other one is on the square bracket, the other one is on the normal curved bracket. Okay, so that's how you can actually change a tuple to become what? A list. Now once it is now a list, what can you do when it's now a list? That means that now, since it's a list, you can go and work with temporary list dot append, meaning we are adding new item. So as you add new item, you can simply say this one will be Nissan, right? And then you want to see the changes on, so you'll call the temporary list. So let's see if ever it would have added. Yes, it has added it on the new list called and it has added the item called Nissan. So it's very simple to manipulate a tuple. You just need to remember all functionality for the list. They still apply here. So you can take back now this this temporary list and make it what? A tuple again. So you can say that means car brand would exactly be equal to, then you call the tuple, and then you call back the temporary list, such that when you print, you only focus on the car brand. So you have first converted it to become a list. Once the list, you use functionality of the list to perform add. Once it has added, you take it back to become what? A tuple. There we go. Those are the desired results. So the other things you cannot do on a tuple is that you cannot go and perform what we call removing a tuple only or any item on the item. Let's say you no longer like Renault or you no longer like BMW. You cannot go and remove those items on the tuple. So a tuple is something like which is forever working within your code, unless you had you don't even code it to delete it. But then if you try to work with delete, it will throw you up with errors that certain things cannot be removed in a tuple. So there are also what we call unpacking, right? So tuple unpacking simply means that we want to assign values into a certain variable from a tuple. But that we might want to do that later on. We don't have to do it now. We'll do it later on with further examples on tuples. The other thing we can do is that tuples, they can be joined together. Tuples, they can be multiplied to create new tuples. So for example, we can come here at the top and have model year as one of the tuple, and on this tuple we store the year. So we will have 2010, 2015, 2020. So this will be the year or the model year that we will be working with on these cars. 2025. So we have those years that we have listed there, and then from there we can go and say we have a new tuple. So we say new tuple, and then on this new tuple the only way it can be created is if car brand has been added together with the model year. So that means the new tuple, you will see now when we go and say print new tuple, see the results for that. Now combines all the brand of the car together with the years that we came up with to edit there. Okay, so maybe lastly on the tuple is that tuples not only do they allow addition, they also allow multiplication. So you can go ahead and say this new tuple, its car brand multiplied by 2, and your tuple should work, meaning now it just duplicates the previous results with the new one. Right, so it just multiplies and add, no sorting, nothing, it just works. Okay, so that brings us to the end of part 2 on tuples.